me my New York kicks. I'm on my New York shit. My New York kicks. My New York kicks. I get my New York kicks. I'm on my New York shit. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, love, and light. Islamism, right? Happy Muslim Day to all of the Moors out there. Grateful to be in the spot. I am as well. Oh, peace. How the vegan ATL, my guy. How you been, brother? How you been, man? Yes, indeed. Man, I just wanted to tap in with y'all. You know what I'm saying? There's so much going on in the world right now. Yeah, I just wanted to chop it up. This where I get my mind right. You know what I'm saying? If I don't get some of this stuff off my chest, I may go crazy. Now, I am in prep mode, getting ready for this lecture. But there's so much. I be having to just... I got to clear my cache. Even researching and getting ready for the lecture, I still got to stop what I'm doing and come and speak to y'all because it's just too much. It's just too much. It's just too much. It's an overload at this point. It's so much information, and I'm starting to get spooked because it's like the more that I look into stuff, the more that I speak about stuff, it's just happening. Kanye talks about we must be free selling intellectual property of others to the slave property. No, yeah, I'm sure that Kanye engages in improper contracts. I have yet to meet anybody in that position in the music industry that does proper contracts. And you could deviate from the standard model and do a righteous contract. And what do I mean by a righteous contract? Do something that's equitable to the artist, where you don't have to own the artist's right for their entire life. And perpetuity means that you own it forever, not a person's lifetime, forever. A person's your you know, for the next however long the goddamn earth exists. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to extract value from an artist forever, and then their people don't see none. I'll give you, let me, because I don't want to be freestyling thinking that everybody sees my posts. You know what I'm saying? Because my posts still be kind of somewhat shadow banned. So rather than just rattling or just randomly answering questions in the chat, and then none of y'all know the context, I'm going to play this little clip, and then we'll speak about what they're speaking on in this clip. Right? Dope clip, real quick, and we're going to chop it up.
I could never sign with Kanye West, y'all. I was always signed to Boo. So I had to become a writer. I had to make some kind of money or I was going back to the street. So Ye was like, hey, man, till we figure this shit out, help me come rap. So I wrote Black Skinhead. We end up getting $1 million deal. They about to give me something stupid. Boo comes out the blue and claims that he owned my publishing. This nigga comes and send a cease and desist from Universal, right, to take 50% of what I wrote. He was just a thorn in my side, right? Like, after that, I end up trying to get my percentages back and shit, right? All these lawyers I'm hiring, they can't get my percentages back from Universal. So I called the motherfucker myself. They said, well, we already collected the money, but we can give you your percentages back, but we can't give you your money. They hit me with some shit. It went into a black box when don't nobody claim the money. They split it between every writer on their company. So I gave $500,000, bro. When I'm homeless, damn near broke as fuck.
So, yeah,
I could never sign with Kanye West, y'all. I was always signed to Boo.
So I've spoken about this at length, right? And you got to understand, this is the same thing that Angie Stone was speaking about, the black box. I didn't know about the black box until about 1.5 years ago when I started researching royalties in the music industry and contracts. And then I was so perplexed that I was like, nobody's telling us about this black box, right? So the black box is being perpetuated by the people who worship the black cube. And you know who I'm speaking about. The real estate agents, right? And yo, yeah, shout out to my brother Wesley. Tomorrow, right, we got the hip hop conspiracy theorem lecture, or webinar, should I say. The deets is in link in the bio. It's a webinar Zoom presentation, and we're gonna qualify. We're gonna free some slaves, y'all. We're gonna free some slaves tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I'm unveiling the technology that we have created to free some slaves because I'm tired of this. And I've been researching and studying this for at least more than 8 months at this point. Well, maybe like 10 months now, right? In the black box. Okay, the black box is where unclaimed royalties go to. So let me give you a generalization, just to have you understand this and why people sign to record labels, and they sign record contracts assigned to record labels. So the record labels are responsible for doing your paperwork, getting your back end stuff together, because they tell you the music business is 10% talent and 90% business. This is the 90% that they're speaking about. The 90% business is the paperwork, the technical paperwork. So you get in your ISRC, you get in your IPI, you get in, all of your BMI or ASCAP stuff situated, right? Them dealing with Harry Fox for you, them dealing with your MLC. All of these things is what you sign to a record contract, and that they have entire departments that are responsible for. So let me explain. You know how like a QR code works, right? And there's lines and what have you. Let's say, no, a QR code is not a good example. Let's say a barcode. So let's say I'm scanning a product and the barcode has lines in it, right? And I'm scanning the product. Let's say one of those lines of the barcode is off. Or if you're coding, right, and you leave a period out of the code, and then your code is going to have bugs in it and it's not going to operate when you attempt to run it. That's what the music industry is doing to these artists. So if I'm feeling, let's say you signed to Raping You Records, right? And this person over there is Mr. Raping You, and you are artist, and this your CEO, Mr. Raping You, right? Take that, pause. Is saying, I'm gonna sign you for a 7-album deal for 20 years, and yeah, you owe me 7 albums, but I give you $1 million advance on one. If you recoup on that, then that increases your advance on the second album, give or take, right? The company is responsible for the back office paperwork for you to make sure that your royalties are getting registered and you're getting paid. Now, it's a lot of different ways to get paid. There's mechanical royalties, there's composers, right? So if you this performance, so let's say I'm Michael Jackson, right? And I'm performing Man in the Mirror, but Shahida Garrett wrote Man in the Mirror, so he doesn't get the composing royalty. He only is going to get the performing royalty. But if you are artists like, let's say, I think at some point, was Whitney Houston writing her music at any point? That might not be the best example. Isaac Hayes is a great example, right? And shout out to Isaac Hayes Jr. specifically for this reason, right? Because he handles his father's business. And I went to a few classes with the European woman who handles their stuff. Her name is Linda Gardner, I believe. I'll tell you right now, I don't want to misquote nobody. But Isaac Hayes was handling in his BI, so he was composing and performing. He gets double royalties, and he had all of his copyrights together. So he really owned his stuff. Barry Wright really owned his stuff. Sam Cooke really owned his stuff. This is what they mean, right? All of them dudes that they got knocked off, this is why they got knocked off, because they owned their music in terms of they had proper filing and proper paperwork done so they could receive their royalties. Now, royalties can act like us for reparations because you're going to get paid forever. Liz Gardner is her name. And you could go to Garner Group Music to get more updates on who this individual is. I'll give you a real quick, that's Liz Gardner, right? Yeah, she said when she came here in Atlanta, she said none of these niggas had their business together. And she was talking greasy about them when I was going to class with her. She was like, yeah. She was like, Takeoff in them. And she's like, nobody had trust. Nobody knew the business. To this day, she was like, the 2 Chainz, none of them. Everybody with $1 million did not know how to secure it. In the city of Atlanta, she came in and taught them the game. She was taught by Dallas Austin. She teaches everything that she was taught. You know, she was. Damn, I can't even use that analogy. That's a bad one. I was gonna say she was Cassie to Dallas Austin, but that's a dub. I can't even use these analogies. They don't even work the same no more. So artists, if the label misses one thing when they're filing your paperwork, the barcode scan won't work. I'm using an analogy, right? The barcode scan won't work. So what happens if they scan your stuff and it does not register, right? They're going to say, yo, we don't know where to send this money to, because they don't deal with the artists, right? The PROs, which is the performance rights organizations, they don't deal with from artist to artist. They deal with PROs to labels. So your label is responsible for getting you your bread. They're going to pay your label, then your label's going to piece you off and pay you. Right? So these artists that are saying that they never got their royalties, case in point, like the Limp Bizkits of the world, who said, yo, UMG owes us, what did they say, 20 million and 200 million? Shit, it sounds the same, 20 million, 200 million when you don't got 200,000, goddamn it. It all sounds the same, right? So, once again, I rewind it. Royalties are paid out. They're not paid directly to the artist. The agencies are going to PROs are going to pay. Yeah, and George Clinton too. Let's put him in there, right? George Clinton stole P-Funk, and Larry Blackman, Rob Cameo. Well, George Clinton got fleeced by the record company, so I guess his karma caught up with him, because he got fleeced for $200 million. And he's in court right now crying about that. Let's Google it, right? And shout out to Uncle George. He said that he's admittingly saying that he was high. So he has an excuse because he was high most of his career, right? But these individuals still got to perform. Unfortunately, Roy Ayers, he was in the same situation, right? All of them is going out bad. And I'm not talking about them crazy because I want to see them going out bad or I want to speak about them in that way. It's just the truth, right? It's just the truth of the matter. And it hurts, but I'll be damned if I can tell the truth. He filed a $100 million lawsuit against his former business partner, Armin Baladian, and several music companies claiming they wrongfully acquired the rights to his music catalog and denied him rightful ownership and decades of royalties. Right? This lawsuit was based on copyright infringement. So again, this is going back to the copyrights. When they say, do you own your masters? Nigga, the only thing that they're speaking about is your copyrights. They making this shit sound all difficult. It's not fucking difficult, nigga. Do you own your copyrights? And what does that look like? Yo, when I wrote the lyrics, I sent this shit to the copyright office and paid them $65 that I got my copyrights. Once I recorded the material, then I take that recording in a batch and I send it and I pay $85. Now on my masters, they're making this sound difficult. It's not difficult. It's not as difficult as it sounds, y'all. They're running circles around us with language and trying to make shit sound exotic and sexy. Nigga, did you copyright your music and do you own those copyrights? Right? When you go to the studio and you make the songs, do you have a split sheet? Right? Not after the fact. Do you have the split sheet when you leave the studio? You know what I'm saying? Not fucker if you walked away with the stems, nigga. You walked away with the stems, but did you get the split sheet? No. So trying to play catch up after the fact, and everybody that was in the studio, a nigga gave you some ad-libs and shit. He wants 2 points on your song. All of this complexities. You're supposed to have a split sheet so you know all of that once you walk out of there. You would think the fact that our people have been getting fleeced for 70 years or more in the music industry, right? Peace, Lordy. You would think the fact that our people have been getting raped, scraped. You would think that we would birth babies and send them to contract school before they even learned their ABCs. You would think that we had babies specifically to come into this world and solve this problem. At least that's what I thought. And it wasn't such a pressing issue for me as a youngster because I wasn't into music. Like, I wasn't creating music. I was in the music industry, but I wasn't making the music. I was managing artists and, artist developing and stuff like that. I wasn't on the side of the artist making the music per se. Later on in life, when I got to making the music, then all of this became a pressing issue. I wanted to release an album last year, and somebody asked me a series of questions about ownership, because I was just thinking that, I'm going to get my joint and put it on the DSP, and I thought that was it. I thought that was the layer of ownership that, I'm going direct to customer, so I'm thinking I had the game beat. And it was like, nah, son. Nah, that's not the game. And I have gone through an arduous, educational process, almost like I went to college to learn this. But then we created technology that can automate this process, where not only can you surpass the PROs and the labels and everything as an artist and take ownership of all of your IP, but we also put it on blockchain so you can get paid royalties like in real time. Meaning that with this system, you could go stream and your royalties hit. You know what I'm saying? And you get cashed out. What's fucking with that? They call that mailbox money. But now it's digital mailbox money, right? It's email money. So there's a lot that we have to offer based on the work and the research that we've been doing pertaining to artist rights management. You know what I'm saying? And putting the power back in the hands of the artists and allowing the artists to make IP, which is intellectual property, as a UBI, which is a universal basic income, especially if you're creating a song now and you know that you can get instantaneous royalties, but then you can borrow against those royalties. You can treat those royalties like an appreciating asset. You understand? Because it's going to be accruing and appreciating in perpetuity. So if I'm able to get a stream on a song, right, and let's say it coincides with what they just said in terms of getting paid a penny a stream, right? So you're getting paid a penny for your thoughts now. All right, let me run this real quick. Just real quick. We'll be back. Hold on.
The New York City Council just passed the Living Wages for Musicians Act. 1 cent per stream. Typically, you'll make around $4,000 per million streams on Spotify. But with this new 1 cent per stream royalty, you'll be making $14,000 on average from 1 million streams. This is an entirely new royalty on top of the royalties that they're already paying out that gets paid directly to the artist with no middleman. Now that sounds like a living wage to me. $14,000 a month if you have one song that's doing 1 million streams, or $14,000 a month if you have 10 songs doing 100,000 streams. This makes it so that independent artists can actually survive and live comfortably, only having to do music and not have to go out and get second jobs and bartending gigs to survive. Now, while the New York City Council passing this resolution is more symbolic than anything, what it really is them saying we stand behind this getting signed into federal law. So once the House and the Senate approve this bill and the president signs it into law, that's when this stuff can actually start to take effect for you. That being said, the momentum for this bill to get passed is crazy right now. And I think there's no better time with how the industry is shifting towards independent artists for this thing to actually become a reality. You sharing this video will help spread awareness and help us get this thing past the finish line. So share this with an artist friend, post it on your story, do whatever you got to do to get the word out, because we are this. New York City Council just passed the.
Yeah. So imagine that, right? In essence, what he's speaking about is you can create universal basic income from your IP, from your intellectual property. You can create a song like my shit. I'll be like, yo, I create a song, I'm going to go create a baby. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to put that song in that baby's name, and that song is going to be able to pay that baby with interest for the rest of that baby's life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, little man, you the single, nigga. Because of the single, you got. It's no longer, yeah, you know, I heard a song by Luther and shit, and I went and made a baby. No, I made this song and put Luther on the hook, put a percentage, and make sure that that shit went to his estate. But this song is gonna pay for this baby that I'm about to have tonight. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is the UBI for that child. And as many songs as I can make, as many babies I can make, because the songs are now gonna feed this child. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. This is the freedom that you can attain as an artist once you get full ownership of your intellectual property, because it's $1 million and way once to skin a cat. And if these people have made multiple trillions of dollars off of your intellectual property, you don't want to make none of that. You don't want in on the game that you are creating all of this money out of thin air, and you the last one to benefit from it. And I'm only laughing because I'm crying. For real, I'm only laughing because I'm crying. You know what I mean? But we were able to do this, and it was very arduous to do. But when Angie Stone made transition, I kid you not, and, you know, I talk real mystical and spiritual and shit, but something had shifted when she transitioned, because the universe just started sending things that we were able to complete this in like 2 weeks right after she transitioned. And we did it. We used her as the catalyst and the reason to say that this is the last stone. You know what I'm saying? That there'll never be a stone turned over. And then the lawsuits just started coming right after her, back to back, for the George Clintons and everybody else, talking about how they getting beat. They got beat by $100 million. So let me explain. So again, you got to get your paper. Let's say you go into the label, you sign to the label. It's the label's job to get your paperwork together. And shout out to even.biz. This is just an extra layer from that, because the key with me, right, is that we're the label, we're the PRO, right, and I have a streaming network. So I make the music, I sign myself as an artist to my label, right? I sign myself to my own publishing rights, performance rights organization, right? And I have the mechanisms to stream my own product, to create my own money, and I can go and collect my own royalties. You know what I'm saying? So I figured a system and a piece of technology out where I'm everything in one. Not just an artist, not just a label, not just a DSP, not just a PRO. You feel me? Everything. Everything. Everything in one. I don't know any other way to upsell shit like that is so amazing that I'm just like, because I be thinking people be looking at me and they be like, nigga, you ain't do that. You can't do that. You're just blue pill. I be like, nigga, do you know what I have created? Right? Just because I don't have a motherfucking G5 Gulfstream don't mean a nigga has not contributed trillions of dollars of values or worths of creations. And moving forward, it's about securing ownership. So those things that have been created on the fly, you know what I mean? You can definitely, reap the full benefit of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's really time to reap the full benefit. Peace, Doc. It's past due time that we reap the full benefit, of the things that we are putting out into the world in terms of intellectual property and concepts. There's such a burgeoning boom all of a sudden of people utilizing AI to generate content, and I was on the same wave. It was the things that I was praying for, because when I started utilizing AI to create these avatars, I was like, yo, the dopest thing ever would be to do a child's podcast. But I didn't want to do the AI generated. I was actually looking for real children to do a show like The View. And then out of nowhere, Hey come out, and they come out with the child podcast, right? That are mimicking real life celebrities. That's a dope concept. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens is something called an uncanny valley, where you see an image, you see a baby, but you're hearing a grown voice. So there's a mechanism that goes off in your head, and you like, yo, something ain't, yo, Ross Sturms, when I get an opportunity and a chance, I really want to sit down and just show you some different tools that I've come across that will like catapult what you do. Because what you do as an artist, you already 3-dimensional, Ross. I want to show you how this AI will allow you to be 4D. You know what I mean? I want to see your art in 4 and 5D. But I'm very excited for creatives going forward with the AI tools. And do not think about this ain't over and that ain't over. No, the tools are finally in the hands of the creative and the storytellers. The only thing that you are responsible for, creative family out there, is your ability to tell one hell of a story. You know what I'm saying? That's where your power suit is at. If you can do that, then sky's the limit. Because the technology has leveled the playing field where you don't need $1 million or multiple. You can run circles around Tyler Perry right now, and he got a whole ass studio. But you can get on Google VO and you can outpace him with work ethic and with a good ass story that can run circles. That's where we at right now. You can write the song, record the song, all of this on your phone, do the video, release the video, right? Create the merch and go direct to customer with all of that. And nobody got to go to China. You don't even have to. So all of this is what I'm telling you. This is all tariff proof. This is recession proof, right? Because any digital business is tariff proof. So automatically they shifted that dynamic to those who are the digital creators. What do you need China for? What do you need China for? Right? People that got brick and mortar that's dealing with physical product need China. But if you're dealing with a digital economy, you can go direct to customer and you can scale exponentially. You know what I'm saying? And there's other ways that we can get around what they throwing at us. Right? And look, shout out to my New York Knicks. I couldn't find my jersey, so I had to put on the orange and blue to rep, you know what I'm saying, for New York. You know what I mean? I got my Harlem hat on. I got my Knicks on. I got my Nets and all of that. As long as I'm in orange and blue. I wrote my New York Knicks remix. I got to record that and do my video. You know what I'm saying? So I got to get shit balled up. Balled up. Still write rhymes. I got balls too. I got balls for it. I got balls for that New York anthem. Shout out to NY. I'll be back home on the first week of June. Yeah, I hope we still in. I hope we still in the playoffs. I ain't getting my hopes mixed up. I'm still recovering from an ulcer from the '90s, fucking with the Knicks. So, yeah, I said sitting in front of YouTube doing juju, so I won't go to Lulu. I'm still sipping yoo-hoos for ulcers I gained from games when the Knicks came the closest but couldn't become the closers. They say no one should be that invested in sports. I retort, New York Knicks is the culture. The shit got us off the sofa, hit the parks to reenact when Sparks gave Mike the shoulder like this. Ugh. It was, you gotta understand. You gotta understand. Shout out to Spike Lee. He understand. You gotta understand what it was like growing up in New York as a fan of the New York Knicks. And no disrespect to nobody else's home team. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the biggest sports fan, but I do respect people's fervor for their city teams. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? And New York Knicks, I was heavily emotionally invested in them in my younger years. But I learned, again, through health concerns, that that's not the best thing to do. I was really invested in them. Red, there you go. Red tapped in. Orange and blue, I'm on my New York shit. Honors is due to my New York Knicks. Yeah. Shooting that shit like it's a new 4/5. Boosting bitch, pull me some New York drip. Sitting court size, I got the jewels on wrists. Even the Jews talk shit. I'm on my New York shit. Yo, Red, when we finish this lecture, I need some bars for the New York Knicks remix, man. got like 35 bars and shit. You know what I'm saying? I need you to get a remix together. Yo, yeah, peep the remix, right? Everybody on that remix is in the news in the Diddy trial to some degree, right? Yo, what better distraction from the Diddy trial than New York Knicks and the Buster, Swiss Beats, Joey Badass, right? Shout out to Papoose, he got his own. What a coinkadink, right? Where Fat Joe? Where Fat Joe at, man? You know, but the locks, you see the locks, they breaking out. They like, yeah, nigga. Everybody's pivoting. At least the people who know, who's smart enough to pivot. You know what I'm saying? They pivoting. People is pivoting. You feel me? It's not looking good. But I'll point this out because I did a post on it a year ago today. I put this post up and it was called Donald Diddy. And I was pointing out the fact, this is the day a year ago when Donald Trump got convicted of 34 felonies in New York City, in a New York City courtroom, right? By Letitia James. I don't think this was the federal charge. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this was the state charge, right? And he was still coming up on cases in the Southeast District of New York. But I believe the Southeast District is the courtroom that deals with the sexual charges, because that's the Epstein and everything, and these are the same people that's dealing with Diddy. So I'm like, look at this dude's infatuation with hip-hop. He really think that he's death row. You feel me? He really think that he's death row because he gravitates towards the niggery and hip-hop because he's a nigger, right? Teflon is a nigger. To the degree, being a nigga is not about an ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? Oh, the only one is, I don't know anything about Neems being involved with Diddy. Shout out to Neems and shit. But Busta Rhymes, Swiss Beats, Joey Badass, yeah. Report to the principal's office. Yeah, so the felon president who's in charge of all of the pardons, right? He's going pardon crazy. I'm trying to explain to y'all that he's setting you up for a prisoner swap, and I'll explain that in a second, right? But him and Diddy, they have the same cardology card. They share the same. So how I talk about 44 resonators, Donald's a 44 resonator for sure. So is Diddy. Again, like I said, you could go on the internet and they'll tell you that Diddy's a 44 resonator. Matter of fact, let me do it for you right now. Right, Diddy, 44. And these are those regular numerology websites and shit to be like, yeah, you know, the angel number is, yeah, all of them. Those sites say that Diddy's a 44 resonator because he has a 4 birth chart and he's born on the 4th. So that's the way that they do their deciphering and shit. And I'm, you know, to each his own, but I could, yeah. Diddy's a 44 resonator. Take my word. Right? Diddy says Jay-Z's 444 is his best album ever. And forget about it. I've established a million different ways that Donald Trump is a 44 resonator. Right? And I don't want to return to those because I'm going to be doing it in an election tomorrow. And Daddy House was on 44th Street, goddammit. Anyway, they are both 3 of diamonds, right? And we also pointed out some pretty clear connections to the Diddy case and R. Kelly, which was taking place 17 years ago at the same time, like to the same day, right? And love is nothing but recent witnesses to claim R. Kelly paid off. So this is 5/29/2008, right? this came out a year to the day, like yesterday, because I ain't posted. I had it since yesterday. And shout out to the hip hop astrologist. She did an amazing decoding, right, where she unpacked the astrological connection to R. Kelly and Diddy, and she even tied it into the papacy, Pope Leo, right? And I'm gonna be addressing this directly, definitely, in my portion of my lecture, and that is the potential abuse that Diddy possibly faced at Catholic school, because he went to school with PDF files, and here we go.
Sean went to Catholic Mount St. Michael Academy in the Bronx. Sean was also an altar boy, so he'd help out in the ceremony, whatever was needed. In the 80s, there was unspeakable things going on at Mount St. Academy. The FBI were even watching the school, mainly watching the principal, who was called Brother Brady, the chaplain, named Reverend Lynch, who was there for 12 years, so the whole time Sean was there. Sean left in 1987, but both of them were charged in 1988. Principal was sentenced, but the Reverend, who was the chaplain, wasn't sentenced. Only one person came forward, and his name was John Chauffeur. He's in the film Garfield. He couldn't handle the court trial, so he left, and there was no further evidence about the Reverend. In the 90s, the principal got a similar job in Chicago, and the Reverend wrote a book and became the first Catholic priest to have a civil partnership, marrying in 1998 and legally marrying in 2017.
How about that?
Sean went to Catholic Mount St. Michael Academy in the Bronx. Sean was also an altar boy, so he'd help out in the ceremony, whatever was needed. In the 80s, there was unspeakable things going on.
So, y'all always know my angle, right? For some odd reason, it always comes back to the Catholic Church and the Jesuits. You know what I'm saying? I'll let Red and Wesley, they can tap dance on the small hats. You feel me? My through lines that I love, the rat line that I love establishing, always goes back to the church, right? So I've always spoke about Big and Diddy was both Catholic boys school students, and they brought in the 6-point frequency into hip hop. And what is the 6-point frequency? The 6-point frequency is Catholicism, right? Specifically, but also the Judaics, Hebrew Israelite sort of information and energy. And no disrespect, I'm just saying it wasn't the 5%. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the 5-pointed energy of what Islam represented. And although we didn't have Sharia law in hip hop, there was still an aspect that was tied to black consciousness, right? Where there was just certain things that, you know, the way that New York operated specifically as the empire, right? There was order. We was privy to a lot of the fuck shit. Yeah. The entire industry, again, we're looking at Remick. We're looking at vampires that have been bitten. You know, even when we point out, because I expertly figured this out in my dissertation, even with Chicago, they separate on the 6-point and the 5-point energy. Gangster Disciples of the 6-point energy, that would be your Crips, right? El Rukins with Chief Malik, okay? And the Black Peace Stones, my nigga, that would be your 5-point energy. That would be the Bloods. Shout out to T. Rogers, my nigga. I was there when he came to the Masonic Lodge on 125th and gave OG Mack and them boys the business, because he explained to them that the Blood Gang is founded in Masonry, nigga. And he was doing all of the fucking moves and showing this shit. And shout out to my homie Joshua Bay, who was on Rikers Island when they formed the Bloods. And he specifically was there when they implemented the rites, and the rites were Masonic. So he said the fact that y'all are out here doing bestiality, cutting people in the face, right? Doing all of this goofy shit. He chastised the entire East Coast Blood operation. T. Rogers did it. I was there. Right? They was whooping feet in that place. Shout out to Supernova. He was there too. Right? When they was running all sort of interference, attempting to get, again, a level of decorum based on how the Bloods was wilding out in the streets of New York. Because the remnants of the Bloods, a lot of them initially that they had initiated and got into their gang, these were leftover Decepticons. And the thing about the Decepts in New York is that the Decepts are known for hitting people in the head with hammers, slashing people in the face with razors, and jugging people with ice picks for no apparent reason. They was just cuckoo, right? They was just off their rockers, right? They had a bloodlust for violence. You know what I'm saying? And these was the people who me and Red had to go to school with and grow up with and maneuver and manipulate through to get to this goddamn point in our lives, right? Because it was just nothing but confusion back then. These niggas was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They was just for no goddamn reason. So again, shout out to follow her, please, if you have not already. The Hood Astrologist. She does amazing breakdowns. Her observations are always on point, and she really bodied it. And I got the post on my page. You can check it out. But she shows you the cosmic connection and correlation between Kells and Diddy, whose cases are taking place at the same time, 17 years apart. R. Kelly's case was taking place right now, 17 years ago. And they were speaking about the same thing. Damn near. Right? And our people were in the same level of delusion and denial 17 years ago as they are right now, with all of this stuff being laid out in front of you. Are you turning your face? Are you ignoring what's being said to you? Because this is what we promote as a culture, but you niggas cannot deal with it? That's what you telling me? You telling me that we can't deal with what we looking at? Let me show you some magical shit. And this is, again, this is going into this whole aspect of, like, we don't even know who these artists is because we playing them regular schmegular. And there's nothing regular schmegular about none of who we are. It's nothing regular about who I am. It's nothing regular about who you are. It's nothing regular about melanated people, point blank period. We are the magical people. We are the avatars. You know what I'm saying? We just down here cosplaying humans for the sake of getting some intel and some data to send back to the big guy, upstairs. So look at Michael Jackson, right? Look at the perfection in his demonstration as Michael, the archangel, who had a perfect separation between light and darkness, because that is the story, that is the mythos of the Archangel Michael. They had, and help me if y'all in here, if you are Habesha, if you are Coptic, if you are Eritrean or Ethiopian, they have a very antiquated tale about Michael, about the Archangel Michael, and he has a last name. Because I had this book, shout out to KT. I remember I had got it from KT's library. I just don't remember the last name of the antiquated Michael from Coptic Ethiopia. And this antiquated narrative of Michael said that he had 4 brothers, right? No, I know the Michael part. It was a last name. It's like Michael Melik or some shit like that. It was a last name attached to it. Because I got to Google this because I need the reference, right? So it don't just sound like I'm always freestyling. They said he had 4 brothers. They said that he was the patron saint of children. They said that the people would love him, hate him, or love him again, right? And they said that he went from black to white. This is what they said hundreds, if not 1,000 years ago, and it was written in the relief of. And then the picture that they showed looked exactly like Michael looked for his, for his mugshot picture. Okay, so they said Michael Jackson was 25 years old, 4 months, and 29 days when he caught fire, right? They say he died exactly 29 years, 29 days, and 4 months later. So he lived for 25 years, 4 months, and 29 days until he had that very tragic incident, right, where he burnt his scalp on a Pepsi set. Then it separated. He had a half-life. So after that, he lived specifically exactly 25 years, 4 months, and 9 days until he transitioned. Who the fuck does that? right? Those are Saturn returns. This is somebody who definitely has been here before or would leave such an indelible impression on the planet because he still is the most famous personage on planet Earth. He's more famous than Jesus. And I'm not just saying that to be facetious. I'm not saying that to be facetious. Michael Jackson is more famous than Jesus on planet Earth, right? Even at this time. Okay? So this was not a regular schmegular type of individual. You know what I mean? This guy was different. This guy was different. And again, we love painting people with the brush that we've been given. Oh, he's Wacko Jaxo and he's his predator and he's this. He's an archangel. So you don't have no idea what his true assignment was. Yeah, there was aspects of him that's very conflicting and very confusing, but that's just who he was. Look, Lordy, I got you right here. It was 8 years ago. 8 years ago, Dance Africa today. You know what I'm saying? My archive is slapping, man. I don't miss nothing. Lordy, I see you. You in the chat. I got you on the big screen too, man. I don't miss nothing. I keep thorough records. Feel me? I keep thorough records. My shit is circuitous. It comes full circle. Feel me? I keep full records. So yeah, I remember when Teflon caught the 34 Fs last year this day, and we swore that he was finished. We thought that he was finito, but Teflon is really Teflon. You know what I'm saying? He wiggled up out of that. Look, 7 years ago, Drake, Kanye West, and Law 44. So when this situation with Larry Hoover happens, is that not an attestment? And does that not attest to the trajectory, the very long trajectory of the relationship between Drake and Kanye? Because they did the benefit concert in 2022, right? Does this advocate? Does this erase the stain of Ye putting on a red hat? If in fact, if he bent over, right? If he got underneath that Resolute desk and he was polishing Donald off, right? Because the nigga told you that's what he into. It wasn't not worth it. If he ultimately got the Larry Hoover commuting, he didn't get him released, but he got the computation. It's all symbolic, right? Because all of this shit is symbolism. And what is this symbolic for? They're doing a prisoner swap because they're going to turn around and let Devitt Chauvin go. And they'll let him go. He's not going to be released initially, but it's all symbolic, right? It's all symbolic. They have to undo every single thing that was done post George Floyd because that's why Trump feel that he lost the White House. You know what I'm saying? And this is the indication that they were slipping. And they can't have that. They want redress. They want they want to get back. They spinning the block. And you can't fault them because would you not do the same thing? Would you not do the same thing? If you felt that your hegemony was threatened, if you felt that your perception of your supremacy was threatened, right? If if the biggest terror that you had was an educated Negro in the form of a Barack Hussein Obama, you're going to do everything that you can to undermine education, right? Because the last thing that they ever want to see for themselves or their children is a smart nigga on par of a Barack Hussein Obama. So while we as a community continuously throw this man, then the nigga's not going to free no fucking Mumia Jabal, and none of them. This ain't what that is. Y'all is totally getting this shit confused. It's symbolic. He don't give a fuck about y'all. He don't care about Black America. He's currying favors. He's a politician who's operating in a space of cronyism to say, I'm going to need you niggas as a buffer against these other niggas when I make this move, right? Because I have to cater to my base. And what is that inclusive of? They want Derek Chauvin released because they want him to undo all policies post-2020 dealing with George Floyd. It's a war on woke, right? It's a culture war. They have been very clear about that. What do you think that they meant? Right? Matter of fact, better yet, what do you think the catalyst was? Let's be real here. Let's be coherent. So we can observe and not be in our feelings, emotional, because that's how they get you. Right? So it's going to be symbolic. They're going to do a prison swap just to get niggas in their feelings. It's going to be a prison swap. Yeah, they're going to do it. Why wouldn't they? He got the power to do it. Why wouldn't he do it? The same way he could commute a sentence and you still... Larry Hoover still got to serve the state sentence. It's up to the state now. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to commute the federal sentence of Derek Chauvin, and now he still got to do his state time, right? Until they figure out how to flip that. You don't get that. You don't see that coming. You don't understand You don't understand you don't understand what's taking place. And then he goes and he deputizes the YN. So the YNs are going to act as a buffer zone. You know what I'm saying? Against old niggas like me that's talking crazy about their president. Feel me? They're going to utilize the YNs as the buffer zone to go upside the head of the adults to be like, y'all wildin'. He let Kodak go. He let Young Boy go. These are our people's heroes. Yes, this is politics as usual on a whole nother level, right? So the dude that we call Diddy Trump Jr. in New York. If you know, you know, right? Before it was Diddy parties, it used to be Trump parties in New York. They were super exclusive, right? And then Diddy becomes the Democrat operative who's in charge of creating honeypots here. Harvey Weinstein was the equivalency of that in Hollywood, and Jeffrey Epstein was the equivalent of that internationally. Why you think that Diddy was always at Trump International? Shit, we was always at Trump International with fucking Tyson. Shout out to Tyson and Jackie. So I'm telling you shit that I seen. I'm telling you about parties that niggas was... I wasn't in all of them parties, but I was in some of them. I seen this nigga in a Diddy party. Are you serious? Are you serious? Again, if you're not from the town, it's very difficult to have these forthright conversations to be like, yo, these people have all of the nerve to get out here on these public stages internationally and tell y'all whatever y'all want to hear. But the people who was there, we looking at this shit like, you can't be serious. You can't untether yourself from these individuals. Like, y'all is all two peas in a pod. So he said his old pal, right? His old pal faces trial. How can he interfere in a federal case? Because once again, it's the southeastern district of New York. Those are the same prosecutors that Trump got beef with. So Trump is interfering in a federally prosecuted, because what faith does that put in the prosecutors if they're utilizing government resources to prosecute this individual for the president to say, yeah, I might just potentially pardon him, right? Of course, the states is going to hit him up and eat his food with cases, so it ain't like he'll ever get off the line. But why is a sitting president interfering with a federal prosecution in real time? And no one sees that. And yes, and this is on the anniversary of when that president caught 34 felonies that he still got to go to court for on June 11th. This is crazy. This is crazy. Look, Trump was convicted of 34 felonies years ago. He's still battling the case. Right? It goes to the Court of Appeal on June 11th. Trump was with a lot of rappers, yes. Yes, he was partying. We was in the parties. I'm telling you like I know it. I was right there. I seen it. Right? And then this is the bug part, right? I don't know if I have an article pulled up on this phone. I might have it on my other phone about the Elon Musk situation, right? Because if Elon Musk's if his hit is ecstasy, ketamine, mushrooms, right, and Adderall, right? Which one of them niggas you think is on the motherfucking the white girl? Which one of them you think is tooting? Look, addicts hang out with addicts because that's the only place that you're gonna get judgment-free zones. So if he was around, right, the administration, and the administration knew that he was taking X, he was taking shrooms, he was taking ketamine, and he was on Adderall, right? How are they enabling him to deal with government protocol information and make very sensitive decisions about other people's lives if the nigga was on drugs and they knew it? Because a nigga that's on drugs is not going to hide it, especially a nigga that's on drugs like him. You only going to feel comfortable around people around you that's on drugs as well. And that's how fiends move. So is this not a massive case for HR that every single person that was fired, they should be able to drug test Elon to say, were you in your right mind when I got fired? This is a class action lawsuit. This should potentially bankrupt this entire country all over again, right? And let's reset this shit, because y'all have just been fleeced by a nigga who's a non-national, quote-unquote, citizen here who was high as a kite, making the most sensitive decisions going into, that's like you was on the assembly line, right? And you was dealing with very sensitive things on the assembly line, and you was high as a kite. And if they if they pissed you, then you going home. So how is it that all of the employees got to get pissed? All of the employees have to have clean urine. But the CEO who sets the culture of the company, how can he be a whole fiend? How can he be a whole fiend? So it changes the metrics where you can no longer tell children don't do drugs. Because here we go. In the All About the Benjamins cash rule society, where the aspiration, right? If cash rules, then you're saying that the nigga who has the most cash is the ruler. So by the metrics that were set in place, hold on. You know, I can't resist this. Yo, and shout out. I ain't sitting here acting like these ain't some of my favorite artists, my nigga. Heaven and Hell is still one of my favorite songs of all time. I'm straight hypocritical. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even fucking trying to hide it. Right? I'm conflicted.
The unspoken thing. And probably this might open up
but
a
I'm a
can of
hypocrite.
worms, but I would like to know.
Don't let me fool you.
For my own concern, sure do. So at that time, we was heavy the flag. And there's nothing else. Right?
Look, I'm being petty. I don't gotta go. I'm a hypocrite. Cause look, I went to the 8-ball MJG shit and I made a whole post about pimpology, but I was clear. I fuck with Do or Die. I fuck with 8-ball MJG. I fuck with Devin the Dude. You know what I'm saying? And I think at some point in my life, I fucked with Too Short. Too Short started as a conscious artist, so I had it like I always empathize for him. You know what I'm saying? I empathize for him. But I'm a hypocrite. I listen to the crack rappers. Nigga, that I'm going to be bumping Pusha T. I cringe, but I like it as well because it's poetry. Rock Marciano, 38 Special, what's the boy name? Benny the Butcher, Conway, the whole Griselda shit. You know what I'm saying? I like them niggas. I be cringing. Yeah. Heaven and Hell is one of my favorite songs ever of all time. Hands down. Especially Ransom. Yeah, Ransom is hell of a lyricist. You know, I don't listen to Backpackers. And the only way, yeah, like, I like the fact that Joey Badass got a voice now that sounds like Mos Def, so I ain't got to listen to Mos Def no more, right? Because this shit is not aggressive enough for me. You know, that shit is like eating salad, my nigga. I don't eat salad. I eat kale. Yeah, Rome Streets too, but I don't eat salad. Yeah, Mos Def is like a salad rapper, and that's my man. So I'm not taking shots. I fucks with Mos Def, but I don't listen to his raps. I seen the nigga dancing on stage with tube socks with the Michael Jackson microphone. Shout out to Mos Def, nigga. You know I'm looking for you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to do something public to root you out. I need my book from you, nigga. Yeah, he's a Starbucks rapper. He was talking about Drake and shit. And I'm like, where's your aggression at, nigga? You need to drink hot sauce in your smoothies or something because, yeah, where's your snap? You know, Joey Badass, that nigga think he's unique. He's rapping from that perspective and it works for him. He got the Mos Def voice, so I don't gotta listen to Mos Def no more, right? Because it's a nigga actually rapping tough from New York. Just a backpack rapper. That's an anomaly. But the coke rappers, they the best ones out. You know what I'm saying? They the best ones out. And I fuck with the locks. You know what I mean? I like the very thin line that Styles plays about I'm trying to be conscious, but you niggas better not wake up a sleeping giant and all that. That's aggressive enough for me. I like, and the nigga, he drinks smoothies. He got turmeric in his smoothie. He still got a little bit of aggression. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fucks with that. So I was talking about Wu-Tang, right? And the proclamation that the gods made saying that cash rules everything around me. So he who has the most cash is your daddy, is your ruler. That's the nigga who you got to get under his deodorant because he rules you. If your metric is material, my nigga, then he who has the most material is the nigga who's on top. And that's why these niggas is hoes in the industry. That's why they will eternally and forever be somebody else's label bitch. They will always be a bottom bitch when it comes to label politics because the very people who they stood on corners and said was the devil, they went in them buildings and signed contracts with them. And the same Jews that go and worship a black box, right? Because you seen them, right? If y'all have not seen it, nigga, I'm gonna Google it for you because everybody ain't see y'all. Everybody ain't grow up with the Hasidic, so you probably not have seen, you know what I mean, the Jews that we grew up with. And their open practice, their open worship of Saturn, you probably don't know it. We do. You know what I'm saying? We grew up with it. We seen these niggas. And we asked the questions and we read the books and we did the research and all of that stuff. Did the lectures, master teachers, all of that. So, I ain't not freestyling when I say, yo, the people who worship the black box have created a black box system where not only are they jerking you with a soul contract, right, where they own your name, image, and likeness in perpetuity, but everything that comes out of you in terms of your intellectual property is put in their children's through school, and they're utilizing that free money to bomb babies in Gaza. Right? And they didn't just jerk you for your birthright, my nigga. Now they got your providence. Now they got your gift. Now you over here giving them your sauce. They already got you for your birthright. Right? They already took your birthright. They already took your land. Now you're giving them your gift. You know what I'm saying? And they kicking you in and yeah, they took your building. You homeless, and they got your birthright, they got your land rights, and they got the IP, and you talking about you God. Throwing up the diamond and shit. Oh. Yeah, it looked like Drake, all right. Right? And, yeah, and then, you know, niggas like us come along and we start pointing shit out and putting it in perspective, right? Nobody want to sign with us. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna jerk you. I'm here trying to free slaves. Feel me? For pennies. This shit don't pay. Yo, you say you was watching Brother Panic. I'm gonna show you some synergy to that. Shout out to Brother Pan. May he rest in peace. The synergy is always strong, and I'm always coming across, you know, some content that reminds me that the brother's still with us. I seen this, you know, this was in my Facebook reminder from the other night. Brother Panic and the Almighty, Dr. Phil Valentine, and I said the Duke of Ted. So this was in 28. This was either 27, this was probably 2018, because Brother Rich had a monumental presentation in Brooklyn at St. Francis College, right? Shout out to the Francises. And he brought them brothers out. So however many years ago that was, right? However many years ago that was, minus 2 days ago, they was on Black Magic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, shit don't pay. You know, we do it out of love. But I ain't gonna get rich doing this. You know, it'll cost $500,000 for 2 courtside tickets to the Knicks game. So I said, sitting in front of YouTube doing juju, so I won't go to Lulu. I'm still sipping Yoo-Hoos for ulcers I gained from games when the Knicks came the closest, but couldn't become the closers. They say no one should be that invested in sports. I retort, New York Knicks is the culture. The shit got us off the sofa. Hit the parks to reinvent when Sparks gave Mike the shoulder. Light the doja. Do you remember when days were shorter, nights are colder? We would search for change in our sofa, spend the last penny in our loafers, to sit courtside, all eyes on you like you a member of a lost tribe. Niggas went uptown, copped the brown, whipped it down with the soda, with dreams to pull up to the garden, driven by a chauffeur. Huh? Stardom hit different on Broadway. Bright lights, big city, dreaming color. The team colors blue and orange like sorbet. We all pray they bring the chip home to Broadway. I go back to when Miller was a Knicks killer. He would toss trays in a hurry before Curry, and it was buckets all day. Scurry to the other end, then run again. Ooh, shit. Nobody talking about the nigga who come in second place in a horse race. My city deserves a championship. I grew up under the Canby Knicks. Houston shooting, Step was hooping, had his whole family lit. Can't forget Ewing. All we needed was the layup, no fancy shit. Damn, he missed. I'm still sad. Yeah, Red. Get your balls together, man. Take them other niggas. Them niggas about to get indicted for the RICO, bro. We got to save New York with the real remix. All them niggas is on the indictment. Yeah, I grew up under the Canby Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Shit crazy. Yeah. Yeah, KKK need a RICO. In a perfect world, that would be what's up. You know what I'm saying? But you'd be hard-pressed to get that done now. KKK is running the administration. And they're going to tell you that the KKK and other white supremacist groups are not domestic terrorist groups anymore. And they're going to designate the melanated ones first. And then they're going to send drones after niggas. Because today I seen in the news that Trump said that he is going to hire Palantir. Yo, Red, they writing this lecture for us. I kid you not. They playing right into our hands. Right into it. Got to get this shit off. Right? And they get that nigga Musk a black eye. Right? Put him in the long string of the other niggas with the black eyes. Like Mitch McConnell and the rest of them. They got a They got a fight club in that shit. They have to. They be lumping them niggas up. They be lumping them up. Where's this shit at? Yeah. Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans. You already know what that's about. And if you don't, make sure that you come to the lecture, because I'm sure the Red is gonna lay out who Palantir is and what Palantir is, and we've been speaking about this shit forever, but it's finally here and it's about to get crazy. Right? So how can the boss be sky high on how you gonna be on every drug in the cabinet Don't run with those bars either, please. Don't run with those bars. I'm recording that tonight. How you gonna be on every drug in the cabinet while you in the cabinet? Riddle me this. Right? But it's a meritocracy-based administration. But the nigga who has the most money in the world is a fiend. Right? And because capitalism is follow the leader, right? That you can't tell the young people who's going to school and graduating who aspire to be multi-billionaires that the nigga with the most highest security clearance in the country. Let me switch this out so you can see my motherfucking face. Listen to the metrics here. The nigga with the highest security clearance in the country, right? Because all of them super top secret contracts go to Elon, military joints, because he's the satellite man. He has the very, very top clearance in the country, and he's a quadruple agent, not just a triple agent, right? So he got a backline to China, he got a backline to Russia, right? And the nigga might even be in bed with the aliens, for all I know. This nigga is sky high on every drug in the cabinet, and they knew it, but he was put into the most precious and delicate situations where he was around the secrets and he was around shit, but this nigga's high on drugs. So the White House is being run by a felon and a drug addict. And we can't see the play. This shit is hip-hop conspiracy theorem all day, right? That shit is the new death row. That shit is the new death row, right? And the election came right on time. Because that nigga's the new death row. You know what I'm saying? And the hip-hop conspiracy theorem is, this shit has become us. This shit has become us. Inside out. Outside in. You feel me? We either influencing it or it's influencing us. But we got a blockbuster webinar tomorrow. It's going to be well worth your time. The hip-hop conspiracy theorem. You're going to get a collegiate, strategic dissertation by some brothers who don't miss, who deserve, right, your patronage, who deserve your audience, who deserve your time. Because we've been laying this shit down for quite some time. And I'll be damned if we ain't been wrong. We ain't been wrong. We ain't said nothing wrong. We've been on point. Prophetic even. With this shit. And the universe is going to continue to play into our hands because we're doing the work. And the universe conspires for our success because the universe just wants a story to be told. This shit loves narrative. It's like, talk that shit, nigga. Talk that sass. That's what the universe be like. Shout out to Panic. So tomorrow's going to be no different. I'm a fan out because I'm going to be in the audience seeing Wesley do what he does in real time. You know what I'm saying? And this is us paying homage to a true scholar in our community who did the work. You know what I'm saying? Bro has written the books. He has the literature. He has the documentation. He's put his name and his reputation on the line to stand on business when it wasn't sexy, before the indictments came down, before the industry turned against their handlers. You know what I'm saying? You had the Wesleys of the world. You had the Professor Griffs of the world. You had the Black Dots of the world. You had the Red and Blues of the world. And there's others, right? So this is our moment. Shout out to Tisa Tells. Shout out to the new layer of media journalists that are out there. Shout out to Lovely T. You know what I'm saying? There's a few others who are doing the work, who are properly standing on business and reporting. You know, they're the new layer of hip-hop journalists, man, and I'm loving it. I love what I see. I love the passion in it. You know what I'm saying? I love the dedication to it. Yeah, shout out to Black Dot, setting new bars and new precedents. I love our community. I love our creative community. I love what we produce. I love our ingenuity. I love how we love on one another. You know what I'm saying? I love the love that we have for these ladies and these children and these babies. You feel me? And if I didn't love women and I didn't love these children, I wouldn't be so emotional about the ratchetness that I be seeing. And again, I'm not holier than thou. I've engaged in hellified ratchetness. You know what I'm saying? But I always thought that I had a pull switch. I knew when to pull it back. There's certain lines I didn't cross. You know, I wasn't engulfed in it to a degree where I was willing to give something up for it. Not my morality, not my dignity. You know what I'm saying? But everybody does not know how to flirt with that very thin line, I guess. It's just bad. Shit that I saw, man, it's just like... These women grew up on it as children when I was a child. You know, I was getting indoctrinated 15, 16, 17. These women and men, right, have grown up as children in it. They've had children, and their children now have had children. That's what I was looking at when I went to the concert the other day. I was looking at gangster grannies who was there with their children who had children, and all of them was being indoctrinated by those frequencies. And the women was singing the most ratchetest shit at the top of it. The most depreciating lyrics about them was the ones that they celebrated the most, to the highest of their volume. And look, I've seen this shit consistently for 20 years. And I see this shit with the sisters with the head wraps. When you get them in the club, don't let you get some motherfucking, I can't even say this, don't let you get a drink. I wasn't providing the drink, right? So they be like, oh, them drinks wasn't right. That's why we was acting like that. No. Y'all could have been drinking aloe vera, motherfuckers. When the ratchet shit come on, them hair wraps come off. And you find out that they be masquerading like conscious communities are rest haven for ratchets. And that's okay. That's okay. No judgment. Judgment free. I'm just saying. It's probably not out of your system yet, sis. You know, we all need enemas. You feel me? I got to get my plasma switched out and shit every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure I'm turning over whole new cells. Whole new cells. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the conscious community is where ratchets go to retire. It's a rest haven for ratchets. It's okay. We accept you. We accept you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but with that, I got to go back to my research. I gotta go back. Y'all ain't know I was a stand-up comedian and shit. You know, maybe like in the fall, I'm going to make my run for it and shit. You know what I mean? I'm going to give T.I. a run for his money. I'm going to do some stand-up and shit. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't know a nigga had jokes, huh? But look, yo, for my Knicks, you know what I'm saying? I got that Knicks drip for. Nigga, I was dripped out on my New York shit. I gotta go record this song and get back to this lecture. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be excited tomorrow because I've been waiting for this. And again, it's an honor to present alongside scholars, titans. Red is on another level. Shout out to Red. He surprises me every time. I be almost in tears and shit because that dude, you know, he goes in. He be deep diving and he got like whole family and shit. I don't know how he do it, but Because it's not just deep diving. The nigga gonna give you a 4-hour lecture. And I'm like, where did you get this? And when did you have time to do this shit? Because I seen you on live. You know, you was over here and shit. You was... Somehow, this nigga figures it out. So, after this, I'm going to do something special for Red where I fully acknowledge him. Because people be thinking that, you know, we got issues and all of that. I'm like, you had to have known us to know what we go through. We really are smoke and stack, nigga. You know, there's no good twin. We interchange. We're both been POSs in our lives. So nobody hangs on to that who's the good twin shit. We interchange and we keep one another on point and responsible. And our mission is to uplift fallen humanity, and we both tapped in for that. So yeah, we the Sixer Club, John the Baptist psychic card. So sometimes I finish his sentences and niggas like, you cutting them off. I'm like, I'm finishing his sentence. I know what he's thinking. And sometimes when he can't articulate the word, I'll finish it for him. That's not cutting him off. We actually work succinctly, expertly together as twins. I've been mastering this shit for 49 years, my genius. You know what I'm saying? So I love my brother. And I love who he has become in terms of his research and his dedication to his people and to the truth. You know, we're truthers. You feel me? And this shit don't pay. This shit don't pay like that. You know what I'm saying? This ain't a money grab. This is not a money grab, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's for legacy and all of that. Great shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is out of love. You know? Yeah, we wilding interchangeably, veggies and shit like that. There's no good twins. You know? I ain't a super villain. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes I'm stacked. Sometimes I'm smoke. You feel me? I never had a Marie. I never had one of them though. That's where I drew the line. I just never did that. I ain't never had a pink toe or nobody passing. But outside of that. Oh, no. I'm not, no, we ain't saying that. That ain't, no. I'm not saying that. Let me be clear. I put a post up on Monday and I said that it was brought to my attention that in the community, people have observed us in public settings, being testy with one another. And sometimes it happens on platforms, right? And it's this thing about cutting one another off. I get real excited when I'm speaking on platforms and I have a lot to say. And it's not like I'm going to say it at the expense of you not being able to say what you have to say. Salutations, Kafunya. It's just that sometimes I might say what I have to say right after my brother says it, or I might say it on top of him saying it just to accentuate what he's saying. And then there are times when I'm asking to be heard and I'm not given the access, and I might have to take it because I know that if I don't, based on what I know prior, so that means that I'm being triggered, right? So that means that I still need healing, and my parasympathetic nervous system is not as relaxed as I would want it to be. And then when somebody pointed that out, I noticed that, yeah, there's only certain people that happens with and around. And those are always the people who I value what they have to say, and I'll give them leverage to speak, but don't take 20 minutes and then try to get me too. Like, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Look, Keezer invite me on high-level conversation. Keezer invite me on high-level conversation to ask a 4-minute question and allow me to give a 30-second answer before it triggers him to accentuate or annotate something that I'm saying, and then add on, and then go and ask another 6-minute question that sounds like a monologue. And I'm like, bro, you could have did that in a minute. And you could have gave me the rest of the 4 minutes to get my shit off, because I got a whole thought piece based on this excellent question that you asked. But if you don't allow me to get my thing off, you know what I'm saying? You get frustrated energetically, whether you know it or not. So the next time that happens, you're going to react and respond in a way that does not appear to look professional. So for the sake of me engaging in behavior in public that does not look professional, that's not good on my brand. That's not good on the community's brand. And that's not good on the brand of whatever platform I'm engaging in. And I do not want to be the person who's typecast as unprofessional in public settings, because the narrative, not just myself, the community, the narrative that will potentially benefit us as a community is not going to get as far as it needs to be with doors getting slammed in my face because my engagement or activity is being perceived as unprofessional. Okay? And it don't matter. Them niggas get away with it. And it's like the person who's speeding on the highway and you watching a nigga zigzag and you trying to follow the rules in terms of driving. And the minute that you bust out, the minute you pop out and get to weaving, you whoop, 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 you get pulled over. You gonna tell that police on the side of the road, oh, nah, you pulled me over, but I was following this nigga up there and he was speeding. You're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. You gotta own that. Then you look silly. And I don't like to look silly. You know what I'm saying? Not for the sake of, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? And it gives me the ability to work on myself, right? And notice my blind spots, because there's certain things that you don't see. And people got to point them out. And then when you take notice of it, then what I do, I appoint a watcher. I appoint a watcher like a overlord, an angel up there. And that overlord is responsible now. Once I'm conscientious, I can assign a watcher. That watcher now informs me, yo, bro, yeah, I seen that. We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Go do some woosahs and shit. You know, go breathe, go meditate, go do some push-ups. But we're not doing that because your energy's off. And I could be very cantankerous if my energy is off, because I'm an Aries rising with an Aries moon, and we in Saturn and Aries right now, and I'll burn some shit up, and I don't want to do that. Not. I want to retain this fire for the right purposes and for the right people. There's certain people I want to burn to a crisp, and it's nobody that looks like me. It's none of us, right? I want to retain this smoke for them, not y'all. So with that being said, I love you. Peace, love, and light. You know, tap in tomorrow, pull up on us. It's going to be a clinic. We're going to put on a collegiate, strategic dissertation and demonstration, the hip-hop conspiracy theorem, proven with nothing but receipts, high-level information, and I'm going to be unveiling technology that will allow every artist to have, you know, all of their rights in one place and instantaneously gain access to royalties and create universal basic incomes. You can make a song and a baby in the same night. Peace.